Uh-huh. Yes. Uh-huh. Even though I'm doing it... Uh-huh. 8 hours. Got it. Sorry, folks. It looks like, even though I'm recording this right now and it's happening as we speak, I have to wait 8 hours to show you until I can make money on primetime TV. Sorry, folks. Hey there, guys, and welcome to part 3 of the zoo list testing. While Nacathl's unbanned, everyone's happy, except for those people that played Jund. They're not happy, but I'm happy. And if you played Jund, you know, I feel sorry for you, but you could always play zoo if you want. Jund is still realistically a tier 1 deck, though. Like, you could just keep playing it. But if you didn't want to play Jund, it's a good segue into what I'm talking about now. You could play Midrange Naya. Now, Midrange Naya has the same sort of feel as Jund does, with its big epic spells. I wouldn't say big epic, but, you know, like big game-booming spells. Naya Zoo definitely has that feel. You're going to feel like... you're definitely going to miss the Deathrite Shaman, but with 6 different ways to ramp in this deck, you will still get the same feel of at least his ramp. You have a ton of beaters and a ton of options in this deck, and you have a lot of different land choices, land toolbox, plus you have 6 different planeswalkers, so it makes like your big feel happen a lot more often. Doesn't have Liliana, but it does have a Johnny Vengeance. So I guess if you were playing a Jundi, it doesn't feel too different. Anyways, guys, let's go over this list. Before I even get into that, let's talk about what I'm shifting. There's 4 different parts of this video. The first part was stability, and that was to sort of like make a deck that had every top deck that you have be good and have constant pressure. And that was like the small list that I get behind. Then there was speed, and that was part 2, which was like the Burning Tree Emissary Gruul Zoo, and really focused on speed. And getting out there as quickly as possible. The next 2 that are going to be coming up that I'll update today is a mid-range list, sort of like Kibler's list, almost verbatim. And then there is going to be another like small zoo, but it's what I call good curve zoo. It's like a 3 CMC zoo, and it's a little bit of a hybridization between consistency zoo and mid-range zoo. So let's go over the list exactly here. We've got 2 Birds of Paradise, and to put it in sort of the same category, I'm going to skip a couple and go right down to Noble Hierarch. Noble Hierarch is the better mana ramp dude, because generally it's not going to matter if you're missing the red off of Noble Hierarch. You have a lot of red in your lands, and you really only have spells that cost 1 red. So it's not a big deal. You'd much rather have the green and much rather have the white. Birds of Paradise is the only reason it's in there is because, again, Deathrite Shaman's gone. Usually you want to do a 3-3 split between Deathrite Shaman and Noble Hierarch, which I suppose you can still do for, like, not anymore because the ban list takes effect today. But the Noble Hierarch got bumped to a 4, and Birds of Paradise got bumped to a 2 of. Let's move down to the next list. That's Knight of Reliquary. Again, toolbox is your entire lands. You want to have 23 to 22 lands. 22 is a little bit on the low end. I'm using it because I'm making this mid-range focus a little bit more on aggro than versatility. Although it's still very versatile. So your toolboxing, and I'll get to the toolbox later. It's really important that Knight's biggest thing, other than being a giant beater, is that it can be a toolboxing spell. Double Luxodon Smiter is really good because Luxodon Smiter is basically uncounterable and undiscardable. There's been a lot of talks about Jund upping the discard to make up for its lack of quote-unquote turn 1 play. That may be true, in which case Luxodon Smiter's good. Or if they do it blind into a Lily, Luxodon Smiter's great. but it's really good against the Fae deck. And I've been seeing more and more Fae decks running Liliana lately, which makes Loxodon Smiter become even better. Qasali Pride Mage. It's a 1 of. It could be a 2 of. I have it as a 1 of. It's just sort of an extra slot I've got going on right now. And I used to have voice in that spot, but I've decided to put in Qasali Pride Mage now because, well, the sheer amount of like enchantments I'm actually going to have to deal with. It's nice that it hits artifacts and can kill affinity, but it's enchantments that's really big against. It lets me sort of stop Twin. Twin got a lot better off of this ban. It also stops Bitter Blossom and a bunch of other things. Storm got better too, so it hits Pyromancer's Ascension. It's just got a lot of versatility in it. 2 Scavenging Ooze in the main. Now that there's no Deathrite Shaman, you're going to need sort of some way to deal with Grave Hate, and Scavenging Ooze is the way to go. Plus it sinks other Tarmogoyfs down, so it makes your Tarmogoyf, well, not your Tarmogoyf better, but it makes, you running everything better. Life gain's important in this deck too. I don't want to minimize that. Life gain is actually really, really important in this deck because what it does is you're going to have a weaker game against aggro because you're less fast. Small Zoo does have a little bit of an edge on this deck, even though it's got bigger blockers, at least in the beginning game. That's where Scavenging Ooze comes in, is that life gain actually really does matter. And you're going to have a lot of land. You're going to have at least 4 CMC. So if you drop the Luxodon, or if you drop the Scavenging Ooze, the Skoos, you're going to have a way to pump it to a 4/4 and gain 2 life. And that's not bad, that you're doing a semi-abstinent Baloth. For 4 mana, you gain 2 life and get a 4/4. Alright, so Tarmogoyf, while Nacatl, don't need to really talk about them, they're beaters. That's all you really need to know. They're beaters. Again, Tarmogoyf is going to be a good creature. I know there's been a lot of argument about him being not a great creature. If he's only a 3/4, doesn't really matter. It's still really good. For 2 mana, you can't argue at 3/4. And since this is more of a mid-rangey deck, it's going to get higher than that. It's just, without any question, it's going to get higher than that. Your removal suite is basically 3 Path to Exile and 4 Lightning Bolt. I'm going to skip the lands right here, and it's got Ajani and Domri as also removal, but they're also planeswalkers. When Kibler was quoted about the deck, he was asked why he cut the dragons, since the dragons were so swingy in games, and he said there was no point in time that he wanted to draw a dragon and not have a planeswalker. There was like every game he wanted a planeswalker, some games he wanted the dragon. So he upped his planeswalker count to 6 here. And that almost guarantees you that you will have a planeswalker in every game. Domri Raid is definitely the best here, especially because these guys can fight like a boss. But Ajani gives you a little bit of control in your list. Rather than just being straight up sort of Naya, you have Ajani's ability to sort of grind and control games, and Elspeth's ability to just literally win the game on cast. Alright, so let's look at the lands here. 4 Arid Mesa, drop down to the other fetch lands. You got 1 Marsh Flat, 2 Misty Rainforest, and 4 Verdant Catacombs. Green is really important to grab. White is a little bit important. Red is the least important color to grab, but Arid Mesa grabs all of your lands, so it's important. That's all your fetch lands, and you're going to be fetching what you can get. 2 forests and 2 plains in the main. This seems weird, because you might think you want a basic mountain, but really you don't need the mountain all that much. Yes, you need the mountain for Domri. Yes, you need the mountain for Ajani. Yes, you need the mountain for Lightning Bolt. But aside from that, your more important colors are white and green. So you have to, like, even if you get Blood Moons, you're fine, because you still have access to 1 mountain at least. Looking at the Shocklands, we're gonna look at 1 Temple Garden, 2 Stomping Ground, 1 Sacred Foundry. You have a lot of basics, so you still got your basics covered. When you're cracking for fetches, you'll still be able to crack without any real worry of running out of lands to target. And then let's look at the toolbox. Horizon Canopy, Keswick Wolf Run, and Treetop Village. Now, if you want, you can add a couple other choices in there too. Oh, and yeah, Horizon Canopy, Keswick, yeah, and that's it. I've only put 3 in here, but you can go up to 4. Some of your other choices are going to be things like Stirring Wildwood. You could replace the Treetop Village with Stirring Wildwood to a pretty good effect. In fact, that might actually be better in this deck because of all the flying tokens. Of all the flying tokens that are around. So that might actually be better because it can block fairies like a boss. I put the Treetop Village in there because I want the trample, at least in this list for right now. The other one you can look at is Ghost Quarter or Tectonic Edge. Ghost Quarter, there it is. Sacrifice it, you can destroy a land and they get a non-basic. It doesn't necessarily get a basic. It doesn't necessarily color screw them, but it can, especially if you're against like things like a Jundi and Tectonic Edge, which is there mostly to fight man lands. That's the big one. It kills Celestial Colonnade, and that's really important. And you only want it as a 1-of. Now, Tectonic Edge is not good in the Tron matchup, while Ghost Quarter is, so they both have their pros and cons. None of them are Wasteland, you know, so it's just important to sort of figure out what you're preferring to do. Or you can get Sagiri's Step. And Sagiri's Step is cute. It can void removal. It can void blockers, chump blockers. I don't really like it in this list because it's a mid-range list. Actually, if you're a big fan of Sagiri's Step, I'm a big fan of it. But if you're a big fan of Sagiri's Step, the 3 CMZ Zoo list that I'm going to be posting after this video is the way you want to go because it's actually important there. That's enough of that. Let's talk about the sideboard. It's pretty much verbatim. Naya's Kibler's list. There's nothing that I'm really feeling that I need. I might cut something like a Stony Silence to put in. Well, I'll actually do that right now. Oops, wrong. Again, this guy shuts off Pod and girl. She's got breasticles, so it's a girl. Shuts off Pod and other sort of like activated abilities that you need to shut off. She's really good. Plus, she's a flyer and can do the beatdown for very cheap and very early on if you want in this deck too. Qasali Pride Mage as a 1-of in the side because I want to be able to hit enchantments. Blood Moon is actually better in this deck than Volcanic Fallout, which I use for most of my other Zoo decks, and the reason being is that you have enough basics here to fetch and enough mana dorks that you can go ahead and get Blood Moon and shut the opponent out of the game while still being able to casting your own spells. Stony Silence covers a lot of ground. I've talked about it in my other videos. It hits Affinity, it hits Pod, it hits a ton of decks. It hits Tron. Combust is there for Twin. One Path to Exile also there for Twin, basically, or if you just need more removal. This does hit the random. By the way, it does hit the random Merfolk. It's good for in the Merfolk deck because it hits 5, so you can super kill a Lord. They've got like enough out. While it also hits Kira. That's important. That it can't be prevented. So Kira can't counter that spell. It can't be countered by spells or abilities. So you can hit a Kira off of it, and it makes them really, really sad. Bonfire of the Damned hits everything. Yeah, it doesn't target either, so they can go through Kira. But it's great to Miracle. You also have a Horizon Canopy to do it at the opponent's end step as well. So it's not a bad draw. You can double down on Miracles. And it's just really good in the environment with a lot of zoos and a lot of tokens. Creeping Corrosion's there for Affinity. There's basically no other reason to talk about it. It's Affinity. I would not do Anger of the Gods. I would do Pyroclasm in this deck. Or even Volcanic Fallout. But again, Bonfire should cover that, so Creeping Corrosion does what it needs to do. Let's play some Magic now. Modern. Join. To those that were asking, if I would ever play on MTG Online, I would, except I have every Naya staple in person, built in paper. So I'm not looking to drop some money on Goyce. If someone wants to lend me Goyce, I don't mind doing these videos and using their Goyce. Alright, we've got a game going now. Oh, tie roll. 10. Is that enough? No. Yes, it is. I win at life. Alright, so we got here acceleration into a Knight of the Reliquary. We're going first, which is cool too. And we've got an Ajani Vengeance. So this is a good hand. It's a good hand. It's not the worst hand. Not the best hand. I would maybe rather one less land. But I can deal with it. I'm gonna go ahead and crack this for a non-basic right away. Just so that I can fill the graveyard, and I've already got a forest in my hand, so I don't want to go for another forest. And I get my red right now, in case I need to have red at some point in time. And that's going to go ahead and we're going to crack this Verdant Catacomb. Serum Vision's cool, that's fine. Which means next turn, if he's like a Storm deck, I'm going to keep his lands tapped. Because that'll screw him over. And I'm going to crack this right now again so that it does not die to Bolt in case he's Delver. And we're going to go for a non-basic again. And we're going to make sure to get these a green and a red land so that way I can activate Kessig Wolfrun without the Noble Hierarch. So we're going down a little bit on life, but that's because either he is Delver and I have to avoid bolts, or he is Storm and I need to apply aggression. Could be either one of those. I'm going to put down the Kessig Wolfrun right here, and then I'm going to attack with the Knight of the Reliquary. Start combat up, and attack. So he paid for the Steam Vents, which makes me think that he's got like a counterspell, and I don't want to run the Ajani Vengeance into a counterspell. So I think I just pass the turn here. I've got nothing else in my hand that's business that I want to get his counterspell away. So I think I'm just done. What, is he playing Counterburn or something? He's got to be Twin. That's the only explanation I've got here, that he's Twin. In which case, I'm going to want to do this. There's nothing in my deck that helps me against Twin, toolbox-wise. And I'd rather just delay his turn, so that's fine. Remand is fine here. Bring him down to some life. Seems great. Did he miss the 5 damage last turn too? Cool. So that brings him down to 8. So we've got a 2-turn clock on him. Actually, a 1-turn clock on him. Because we've got the Kessig Wolfrun that we can activate to trample over any of his stupidity. And I'm going to, again, pay the life for the Stomping Ground here. Going low, but that's relevant. Start the combat. Yeah, I mean, like, he's got to tap that guy down. So the question here is, if I attack with Noble Hierarch, right, what that does is that If attack with the Noble Hierarch here, what happens is I can hit for 1 damage. I can pump it to 3 damage, and that's it. So that's not enough. So we're going to end combat. We're going to go over here. We're going to go ahead and pay full price for our Johnny Vargent. I'm not even going to do anything with it right now. I'm going to go ahead and bolt first. Cool, so the bolt followed through, which means I'm actually going to go up. Or do I go? Do I do up, or do I do up? I think I do up. And tap down his Cascade Bluffs. What that does is allows him to not be able to cast anything relevant. He still can cast a blocker or a tap down guy, which is fine, but I can still then get rid of it with the Ajani Vengeance. I've got 2 different helixes I can do. And I can still cast relevant threats to threaten him. Yeah, you've got to tap it down. If you don't tap it down, I kill you. Although I guess I could have tapped it in response to it and then buffed the Knight. That was actually really stupid of me. I should have done that earlier. I haven't played with Knight in a really long time, so I'm a little rusty on my Knight triggers. But yeah, I could have buffed Knight up to a 5/5 this turn, and probably just won the game with the swing and then the Ajani. Regardless, I think I'm still going to win the game. Because he can tap down my Knight. I can use it in response. The highest I can buff the Noble Hierarch is 1, 2, 3. Swings for 4, I guess, 4, 5, or 4, 1. I'm going to get rid of this and grab a fetch land. So I'm going to grab this. I'm going to grab, actually, probably a Treetop Village, so that way he can't tap my stuff down anymore. Even if he does, I can go ahead and just attack with the Treetop Village then, too. Second main phase. I think we put out a Tarmogoyf here. Oh, I guess it did kill my only white resource. That's stupid of me. I'm going to go ahead and cast Tarmogoyf, who's relevantly big right now. I think he's a 4/5, if I remember correctly. And I could tap down his land, but it doesn't really matter now. So I'm going to go ahead and set it to 2 and shoot him. Because we got a clock on him now, even without that. I don't think he's going to crack that fetch land, because that would be stupid on his end. So Tarmogoyf is cool. I'm going to go ahead and start combat. He's got to do something. He's got to do something. Alright, bring it down to 4. That's fine. Snapcaster to do what? Cryptic? Sure. So I'm going to tap this. I'm going to drop my basic here for Horizon Canopy. Resolves. So like we said, with that treetop coming in now, he has to block it or he's dead. And even if he, even if he does block it, I can trample over +1. So, I mean, he's dead. Yeah, he's dead regardless. That sucks that that guy just left. Good game. I'm mad. Oh, hey, Dole's here. What's up, Dole? We're going to just jump into a new game called Tippy Tap since I have a dog named Tippy Toe. Midrange Zoo against Twin and still be able to beat it because of that adversity. That was, that this deck allows me to sort of run with. This is a keepable hand because I've got mana fixing. We got mana fixing, so we're going to go ahead and crack this for no red. I don't have any red in my hand. I got a Keswick Wolf run, so I should crack for a red. I'll crack this for a stomping so that I can have the mana of a red without having to worry on my about my my mana dorks living. Even though I would have liked to have white, I can still grab white with a Knight of the Reliquary if I have to. So this is a Zoo Mirror, cool. Or it's a Gruul Zoo, whatever. Noble Hierarch. I could get in some serious damage right now if I wanted to. No, we're going to go ahead and just skip right to playing a Knight of the Reliquary, which is a 3/3 here. I'd rather it be a 4/4 because it might run into a bolt. But even if it runs into a bolt, I'm only getting hit for 2, so that's okay. Next turn, we are going to apply some serious pressure, though. I'm going to go ahead and not attack next turn, though. I'm going to probably put Knight of the Reliquary as a tap it down to get myself a land. So that way I can pump this other Knight of the Reliquary. Searing Blaze here would be the biggest blowout, realistically. But he is playing 2 non-basics, so he can't pump with... if he wants to attack with the 1 damage, fine. I'm not blocking it. Maybe he has like a Magma Spray or something weird. But I'm not... 1 damage is 1 damage. He could, maybe he wants me to block it so that he can Rampage her. Yeah, something like that. I don't know. What do we got here? We got Domri Raid. Domri Raid's cool. I like Domri. I could play Knight of the Reliquary. I think that's what I end up doing here, is I float a green. Kill this. Search my library for a didn't attack. Search my library for a Temple Garden. I'm gonna take the damage here. I don't like taking damage like this. Actually, not Temple Garden. Gonna get a Verdant Catacomb into a Temple Garden. So even 1 less. But it's I'm not gonna be doing this anymore after this. It's just so that I can Well, I could just cast the Knight of the Reliquary here and not worry about the damage and go back up to 15. I think that's better. Yeah, that's better. Much better play. So here's the thing. I've got a blocker for this experiment one. If he wants to Gore Clan Rampager on my butt, he could do so. I soak up a lot of damage with it, though. Goblin Guide, sure. Goblin Guide trigger. I think I can waste my Knight of the Reliquary, especially if he wastes his Gore Clan Rampager on it. Because I've got a Domri to finish off whatever I need to. We're going to go ahead and block the experiment one. I mean, he can Gore Clan Rampager, and that's fine. Colossal Might. Well, it's big enough to kill, because it's now 6, but I still kill it, so that's fine. Trade. And yeah, that's way better. Plus, this needs to be cracked for something. So truthfully, I could probably start beating him down at this point. Especially since I've got a Luxodon Smiter now. But do I want to play the Luxodon Smiter? I might just want to get more mana. More mana. So that way I can play more stuff next turn. I think that's probably what I want to do here. If I swing here, it hits him for a lot. It hits him for... I can't see why he wouldn't Gore Clan Rampage. I guess that doesn't really matter if he Gore Clan Rampage. No, if he Gore Clan Rampage, he would have survived. So he can't have a Gore Clan Rampager in his hand. So even if I were to attack with the Knight of the Reliquary, that would bring him down to 7. That would bring him down to 12, so it would even us out. I mean, you could have more Goblin Guides, and I don't like attacking without that. So I think I'm just going to keep it up, be conservative, and block with the Knight of the Reliquary. At worst, I use Knight of the Reliquary again to grab me some kind of land, probably a red land, so I can beat down with a Birds of Paradise if I have to. Or I can go ahead and start Domring. And it's not a big deal if I lose my Knight at this point either, although I'd rather not. I can block and successfully make it a 7/7. Another experiment one, very, very not useful here. Go ahead and take the Arid Misa into a this guy. Make that a 7/7. Scoos! I can eat one creature in his graveyard. That's cool. I like Scoos a lot here, actually. I'm gonna just swing for 9/9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9. Yeah, bring him down to 10. That's cool with me too. Second main. I can cast a Scooze with enough mana up to survive a Bolt. Yeah. I still gain 1 life off of it at least. And if he bolts it, that's less damage that's going to my face, so that's fine too. All right, so removal. Yeah, we're probably the yeah, we're totally the not the aggressor. He's the beatdown in this matchup. So we're gonna put in more removal. We're gonna take out Solid Pride Mage because he's just meh. I don't think there's any artifacts I need to worry about here. What else are we gonna take out? Elspeth because we're not the aggressor. Although it does make chump blockers. He does have Trample. A Johnny Virgin is still expensive removal, and removal is removal. And I think I'm going to actually... Knight was huge there. So Smiter is better. Although Smiter's a better blocker even if I don't have to go with fetch lands. And I was sort of mana screwed. I'm going to take out a Knight. And keep the Smiter in. The reason why I'm keeping that Smiter in... reason why I'm keeping that Smiter in is... Nice to meet you. Are you ditching me? Again? Yeah. Okay, I guess I got ditched. I got ditched! Oh well. Oh well. If the next guy that comes in is not dull, I'm gonna jump out of this baby. I'm gonna jump out of this thing. So yeah, the reason why I was gonna throw out Knight there is because Smiter is a better blocker. Knight does become a huge ass blocker as we saw, but Smiter doesn't require the graveyard to be a better blocker. So that's that. All right, guys, that was Midrange Zoo. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Bye. I don't think there's anything else to say. Yeah, this is Kibler. Take this list lightly. I think it's a pretty good list. It's definitely something that you want to think about if you're doing mid-range. Definitely something you want to think about if you're coming from Jund. Or even Junk. I had choices in a combo matchup, and I had choices in an aggro matchup, still managed to come on top of it. I would suggest this deck if you like versatility, because it definitely packs a lot of that. You should check out Kibler after the GP if you're interested in this deck, because I'm sure he'll have a better version than this, because he's more into the mid-range than I am. So, yeah, guys, remember to feed your animals, and watch the Olympics in a million hours from now, after it's already happened. Or just, go online and watch it on BBC. I found out you could do that today, too.